Greetings, people, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, friends, enemies, and comrades. I hope you're doing well, wherever you are. If you're at work, if you have a day off, if you're jobless, if you are whatever you are, I hope all is well with you. And whatever struggle you're going through, hopefully you'll make it out of it and have victory. Anyway, today I want to speak about something. We've explored different ways. We've had multiple discussions on how Ruto might be defeated in 2027. Some of us agree that the problem does not just stop with Ruto. This is a systemic problem. It's bigger than him. He's the symptom, but not the actual disease. Because, like we've discussed before, removing Ruto and replacing him with another one like Matiang'i, as some of you are suggesting on the Twitter sphere or X, is not going to be the solution. You are going to get the very, very same dictatorial tendency, because as we have seen since 1963, we have always had an imperial presidency, okay? The head of the executive, who is the president, always assumes a lot of power. Even though we had a 2010 constitution that really had a devolved system where presidential powers were, the president is not supposed to retain the power that he had before in the previous constitution, pre-2010. But still, Kibaki, Uhuru Kenyatta, and William Samoei Ruto refuse to surrender some of the powers that constitutionally he does not wield. Okay? So that shows us that, the problem is not the constitution itself. It's just the people at the helm, the person at the helm, in this case, William Samoei Ruto, just refuses to respect the constitution. That's why I'm saying the problem is a systemic problem. We, the people, must demand that whoever is in office, all these public officials, all these people that we delegated this sovereign authority to, that represent us, that are supposed to be advocating for our interest, should be put to task, and we should hold them accountable. And if they don't want to, advance our interests, then we can take that power back and exercise it directly. Now, I'm not going to bore you with the previously held discussions that we've had, because by now, if you've been following this channel, you know the arguments, all the arguments that people are saying. Some people are saying we should go ahead and wait till 2027, reconstitute the IBC and have a gazillion people register to vote, and we shall vote Ruto out. Some people are saying, like me, we shouldn't even have this IBC until Ruto is removed through popular revolution. Now, there's another angle that I want to look at today, and for you spiritual agnostics, anyone who does not believe in God, atheist, and anything between, if you don't share my faith, I would humbly ask you to excuse yourself if this is going to make you uncomfortable, because I want to look at it in another spiritual aspect of it. How can we win this fight? Because this struggle, this revolutionary struggle that we are fighting, it's just bigger than a person. Okay, like I say, it's a systemic problem that needs to be addressed. But there's also a spiritual component to this, okay? Now, let me start by saying this, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, friends, enemies and comrades. Before I get started, if you haven't subscribed to this channel, go ahead and subscribe, like, share, comment, and do all the good stuff. If you're going to watch and repeat, do the same. I will try to be brief because I don't want to hold you. I know you have a million things to do. You have to take care of your kids, take care of your bills, work, enjoy your walk with friends. But lend me your ear. I'll try to make this video short, probably 30 minutes max. But lend me your ear for a minute, okay? Especially the faithful, those who believe in Christianity, Christ, Jesus, please, please, please pay attention, okay? Now, before I even get started to this, explaining this spiritual aspect of things, struggle, okay? Let me start by saying this. For those of you who might be agnostics and atheists and have different kind of faith belief or whatever the case is that we know about the occult nature. The last time we had a Maandamano in Nairobi, for those of you who remember, if you watch the news clips, there was an obelisk, okay? Go find out what an obelisk is. Type it, Obelisk, okay? Which is an occultic symbol. Very, very famous by the Freemasons, okay? It was lit, it was on fire last time we had a Maandamano. And I forgot her name, Dr. Somebody. She always have that lady. She always have a, she's on the social media. She mentioned that that might be a sign that people are also attacking all the occultic signatures and effigies that we have in Uhuru Park and other kind of parks that we have in Kenya. People are fighting this because they understand that this is a spiritual warfare too. It's not just a political problem. Now, the argument that I usually tell people is that, especially for my friends who are agnostics, skeptics, and atheists, I always tell them, hey, listen, especially the ones who come from Africa, continental Africa, I usually tell them, hey, listen, we grew up hearing about witchcraft and all this and that, whatever, Majini. For those of you who grew up in Mombasa, you have the stories about Majini and all this stuff. How come it's easy to believe in all this Illuminati spiritual stuff and all this witchcraft stuff, but, and voodoo and all this, you believe in that and you're scared of that. But if somebody mentioned anything about Christ and God, you kind of shrug it off like it's just a fairy tale, okay? That's something we are going to discuss next time, not for today. Today it's something else, okay? Now, I want to bring your attention to this, ladies and gentlemen, brothers, sisters, friends, and comrades. We have to understand that Kenya, from my understanding, Kenya is under or is ruled by forces of darkness. Okay? It is. Kenya is not the only country, by the way. I'm not saying that only Kenya is ruled by the forces of darkness. Majority of the countries in the world are being ruled by the forces of darkness, occultic forces, demonic, satanic forces, okay? Most of these leaders, I do not have to mention them. You just do your research. I mean, we just saw somebody post about that cathedral somewhere in, I forgot where, that was built by the Freemasons, okay? Most of these leaders in Kenya are Freemasons. They are involved in some occultic powers. Wengine wanaenda kwa wachawi, okay? This is nothing new. If you know, you know. And there's a good reason to believe that Ruto might be part of it, okay? Part of that gang. All these Railas, Ruto, Martha Karua, Uhuru, all these people, Kalonzo. I mean, even Musalia Mudavadi, even some pictures that they take, you can see them having occultic symbols that they make in their picture, okay, when they pose for pictures and stuff like that, okay? Let me just get off that. Now that we've established that, okay, we know that some of them, if not majority of them, these leaders, Kenyan leaders, are involved in occultic rituals and practice, okay? Even though in the daytime they pretend to be like Christians, okay? We already know that. So that already shows that these guys tap into a spiritual power for them to maintain their positions, okay? So if they do that, you cannot just fight them politically, okay? You're not going to win. If somebody is fighting you spiritually, you can't win by trying to fight them politically or physically. Remember, in the Bible say, we wrestle not flesh and blood, okay? But we wrestle against what? Powers and principalities, okay? For those of you who are well versed in the Bible, please, you know that verse, help me in the comment section and write it down. Comment down below, okay? We wrestle not against flesh and blood, but we wrestle against what? Powers and powers and principalities and wickedness in high places, okay? If I didn't get it right, please go ahead and correct me, okay? And I'm not coming in here today. I know I will sound very preachy, so excuse me today, but I just thought I felt this was something that needs to be discussed today. I feel very strongly about it, and I think it needs to be addressed, okay? Because I see a lot of people, on the Twitter sphere or X, talk about this. They talk about the occult and all this stuff, the satanic rulership that we have in Kenya, but we never mention what can remedy that, okay? What we need to be doing. So let me take you to that. Now that we've established that Kenya is under occultic rule, these leaders tap into spiritual powers, wicked, evil, satanism, okay, evil angels to get some power, and that's how they rule. Now here's something I want to give you some reference, okay? And bear with me. Today I will sound like a pastor, so please bear with me, but listen to me carefully. I like listening to a lot of testimonies and a lot of teachings and preaching that has things to do with spiritual warfare. And it relates because the perfect person I want to use in this is Daniel in the Bible. Okay, I believe Daniel was a prime minister or some kind of leader in, I think in Babylonia or something like that. Again, I am not a pastor, so if I say something wrong, please correct me on the chat, or not on the chat, but on the comment section, because this is going to be put there. I'll be very brief today, ladies and gentlemen. I say I'll try to keep this into 30 minutes, but listen to me. I will get all spiritual right now. I know some of you do not share the Christian faith, but listen to me. Just listen to me, okay? And I will help you. I'm not here to proselytize for this faith, but I'm here to show you, for those of faithful Christians, true Christians, this is something that you should consider as a way, an avenue which we should use to fight in this struggle of bad governance and rulership and leaders in Kenya. Now, the book of Daniel, chapter 10, I won't read it because, again, I'm not here to preach to you, but you can go read the book. Of course, as a nominal Christian, you might not get what the story is all about, but I'll just highlight this bit, okay? Daniel fasted for 21 days. And after that, an angel appeared to Daniel, okay? The story goes, and again, I say you can find it in the Bible, Daniel chapter 10, just read it through it. And this angel, when he reached Daniel, gave Daniel the answer that he was looking for, I'll just paraphrase what happened. This angel told Daniel that, hey, from the day that you started praying, your inquiry was heard in heaven. So, I came to bring you the answers. But on my way here, Daniel, I was held up by the prince of Persia. Now, for those of you who might think, this is not a movie, because I think there's a movie, a cartoon called Prince of Persia. That's not what it is, okay? The Prince of Persia, through most scholars, biblical scholars, the Prince of Persia, that is, and Prince of Gracia. These are demonic forces that rule. They're called principalities. They rule over a section of the world, okay? For example, in Africa, there's a prince that rules over Africa in the dark world, okay? In the occult, okay? If you hear testimony of former ex-devil worshippers, they will tell you this, okay? And I will give you some YouTube pages that you can go watch testimonies, and you can get a background on this, okay? So the Prince of Persia was a ruler, a principality, a demon, high-ranking demon that ruled over an area. And also Prince of Persia, they came along to try to stop the angel of the Lord from delivering the answer to Daniel, okay? And the angel continues and tells Daniel Michael from the angel, Archangel Michael, for those of you who know Bible, Archangel Michael, had to be released from heaven and came and intervened to fight off those high-ranking demons for that angel to come deliver the message to Daniel. Now, with that said, I know you're asking yourself, what does this have to do with Kenya? Oh my goodness, what are you talking about? All right, I'm bringing you here. I'm bringing you there. Just hold on, hold your horses, get your popcorn. If you're at work, just get your earbuds on or whatever the case you're using. Okay. Now, just think about that. Number one, I want to refer you to, there's a pastor called John Mulinde. Okay. He has his church there, and he explains how Uganda they healed the land after the many wars that was happening there, the civil strife that they were going through, especially from this Lord's army, and Idi Amin. I'm not saying Uganda is perfect and Museveni is perfect, is the angel. No, that's not what I'm saying. But listen to what I'm saying. I'm saying he was explaining how Uganda transformed gradually from the civil strife that they had, the killings and all this stuff that was happening. And he said that they prayed as Christians to help, heal the land. And you can go type it on YouTube. His name is John Mulinde. John Mulinde, last name Mulinde. Just go find him and listen to the preachings there. He explains how they went through that. And also, there's biblical reference to this. Go read the 2 Chronicles, chapter 7, verse 14, Exodus chapter 15, verse 24, Exodus chapter 23, verse 25, Jeremiah, the book of Jeremiah, the 30th chapter, verse 17. Okay, you can go check those out. Okay, rewind this if you didn't listen to me. Just rewind it and you can hear what I say. But anyway, so he explains how they prayed and fasted to heal Uganda, the land, from all this demonic stuff that was happening. Because if you know anything about the Lord's army, they were sacrificing people, they were sacrificing kids, they were drinking blood, doing all sorts of demonic stuff, during that time. And there was a lot of strife. There was just a bunch of stuff that was happening in Uganda. So, of course, after they, prayed and, continued praying, and they were working together with the government, Museveni's government, in different sections, they finally stabilized the country. Okay. Now, I'm not saying that God is fully endorsing Museveni. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that through the prayer, okay, through prayer and fasting, and following the books that I just quoted for you that deals with the healing of the land, Uganda was kind of stable. It's okay. They have their own problems, but it's relatively stable. Okay. Now, so go find out about that teaching. You can just type it on YouTube, Pastor John Mulinde, healing of the land, and you can find his testimony. Now, I would like you to also go search, because I do this thing. I say I like finding the truth. I always want to find the truth, and I will relate it to Kenya. Please understand me. Just bear with me. Let me explain this. I won't take much of your time, okay? There's testimonies of people who have near-death experiences. They died and came back, and they gave their testimony. You can choose to believe it or not. That's up to you. I'm just giving you the information where you can get the testimony. The number one is there's a lady called Angelica Zomrano. Okay? Angelica as in Angelica. Zomrano is Z like ZOMBRANO. It's very hard to find her original testimony because YouTube kind of got it out for some reason, but it's there. She explains how she died and, had the experience, went to hell, saw all this kind of stuff, different stuff. You go find it on your own time. There's another lady called Linda Wanja testimony. She also, had a near-death experience, died, went to hell, saw what he saw. She saw what she came back and told us what happened. Linda, her name is Linda. The last name is Guajah. Then you type testimony of hell and heaven. You can go find it on YouTube. Then the most interesting one, which I'm coming to, and it's going to connect with what I want to say today. My main goal here in this spiritual warfare that Kenya is also having is a guy called Dominique's Testimony. Go find it on YouTube. Type Dominique's Testimony. His you can type in Chicago gang member went to hell and after being shot twice. Okay? Chicago gang member went to hell after being shot twice. Then type in Dominique Testimony. Just type all that stuff, the sentence that I told you, and listen to his testimony, okay? He explains this. But that's what's very interesting about this guy from Chicago, who was a gang member and got shot and went to hell and experienced all that and came back and is giving the testimony. What is very interesting to me, he said that when he was a gang member, they used to have every year or something, they had a meeting. All gang members or whatever in Chicago would meet somewhere, and they would, I don't know if it was every year or every 4 years, I forgot, but you go check his testimony. And they will meet up, and they will summon this high-ranking demon called a principality, okay, that the Bible refers to. Because according to him, he says, after every 4 years or something like that, these demons, these principalities, they would change, switch up. So the high-ranking demon that was headed, that was overlooking Africa might go to Europe, and the one from Europe might go to America, and the one from America might go to Asia, just like that. But so when that happened, they would go give supplications and do all this stuff, all these rituals, whatever. And according to him, this demon manifested itself to them. They would do that because most of these gang members, especially the high-ranking one, are deeply involved in occultic, ritualistic activities, satanism. That's not something new. Go do your research again. Go listen to his testimony. It's very, very, very interesting. Then there's another pastor called Michael Orokpo, Orokpo. He has a testimony. I couldn't find the actual teaching where he explains something similar to that. He says most of the world leaders in the world, basically, they take their instructions from these high-ranking demonic forces. That's why you see most of these world leaders, they always have some funny symbols and all that stuff, okay? And he said that that's why in every area you see that the principality, the high-ranking demon that overlooks a place, always, make sure that the people under which live in that area, the kind of sins they commit is symbolic of the nature of that demon. But anyway, I know this is too much for you if you're not a spiritual person, you're a nominal Christian. You're like, okay, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? The simple thing I'm trying to say is this, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, just to drive it home, because I won't keep you for long. We've seen a video that I played in one of my videos when you saw when Moi was being, President Moi, the former president who is now deceased, was being initiated as a Freemason. You saw that. You can even find it on YouTube. Type it, Moi Freemason, okay? And many others. It is said that also the Kenyattas are part of the Freemason and all that stuff, allegedly, okay? But you can do your research on this. So what I'm trying to say is this. Listen, guys, especially for those true Christians. I know most people might listen to this and be like, okay, whatever. But listen, the true spiritual Christians. I appreciate that pastor that came out and called out Maina Njenga and all this and all that and called out Ruto. But we have to do more. When I say do more, I'm not saying that, we should stop calling out the government if they're not doing anything. But to the clergymen and all the true Christians, This is something that we should understand, that we are not just fighting flesh and blood. You can do your part by intercessing for Kenya through fasting and fervent prayer. You understand? I know today I sound preachy, but listen to me. This is real world. If we are being ruled by people who tap into dark forces, that's why you see they commit a lot of evil. Why can't we, as people who mean well for our wonderful country, tap into our Creator, the sovereign power that the Christians have, the people of God have, to counter these dark forces? Because that's the only way you can fight spiritual powers. You cannot win going with a gun and a physical fight or protesting against these spiritual entities. You have to get on your knee and pray and move away from your sins. I know I sound like a pastor today, but I'm sorry. I have to say it. That's the number one fight. These are the people who should be the front line. These are the people, these intercessors should be Christians, true, spiritual, upright, holy men and women, intercessors. And I know when people nowadays are turned off when you talk about Christianity, because Ruto has made it a mockery out of that faith. That does not stop the fact that we have men and women who are truly dedicated to the gospel, to God. Let them intercess for Kenya, because the fight is a spiritual one. You have to win this spiritual battle before you get to the physical part, because it is the spiritual. Once things turn over spiritually, it will soften the ground for the physical realm. You understand? This is one dimension, the first dimension of this warfare that needs to be addressed first before we hit the streets. Because like I've said in so many of my videos, we should be prepared for civil war. And not because I want to, or because that's what I want, but the signs are clear. The drums of physical, of civil strife are there. Day after day, there are people coming up, these demagogues standing up and telling us, oh, it is that community that's causing us to suffer. Oh, and another one said, oh, it is that community that's pointing at each other's finger just because these political elites have their disagreement or whatever, or they're just playing us. And they're pushing this thing. As much as we don't take it seriously, we think it's just, so-and-so is used to talking about their people or those people. Folks, once we get towards 2027, this will not be funny anymore. And that's why I'm advocating for a spiritual revival. Listen, you might be of a different faith. I'm not here, again, as I say, I'm not here to proselytize for the Christian faith, because to me personally, it's not up for a debate. Jesus is God, and he is who say he is. I'm not the most righteous person, but I have to share this because through these testimonies, and for those of you who know about the Illuminati and all this stuff, you understand that its origins come from what? Satanism. There's nothing godly about it. It's all tied up. I won't go deep into it. You can do your own research. It's okay. You can call me a conspiracy theorist. Fine. It's up to you. Just because you don't know something or you are misinformed or not aware or ignorant does not make it untrue. Like I say, I promised to make it 30 minutes. I'm a little bit over 30 minutes, but again, my plea to the upright Christians, intercessors, we have to fight this war spiritually. Let them who are stronger in faith pray for those who are not. Pray for the nation of Kenya. Pray. One thing I like about talking to most Africans, we understand or we know something about spiritual world because we come from villages and areas where we heard about witchcraft and all this stuff. Uchawi, waganga, we know about that. You know, in all this, in the people in the diaspora places like, you know, US or these Western nations, you talk about uganga or witchcraft, they look at you like you're speaking about a cartoon character or something. That's why I'm glad for majority of you who are going to listen to this, you understand what I'm talking about. And that's why I want to emphasize in this. God says people have to turn away from your sins. To me, the biggest political sin is ukabila in Kenya. Tribalism. Most people, learned, who know better, smart, exposed, lived in all the biggest Western countries, London, New York, Australia, Sydney somewhere, I don't know, name it, Belgium, France. They learn all these abstract political concepts. But when they come back to start politicking in Kenya, instead of advocating for something that will help Kenya, they only go back to their tribal cocoons. Oh, let my people also eat. I'm supporting this candidate because she or he comes from my tribe. And you have all the knowledge to know that this candidate that you're pushing is not qualified, is corrupt. But with all the knowledge, all the education, you're still going to support that candidate because you think just because he or she comes from your tribe or your community, she's best suited. And you don't care much even if they perform worse than Ruto or they mess up the country. Just because they come from your community, you are willing to die for that candidate. Folks, friends, comrades, it has to start with yourself. Be honest with yourself. Even if your mother or your brother or your father or your sister, uncle, aunties, nephews, nieces are advocating for people we know have been proven to be corrupt, do not stand for that. It's okay even if you are standing by yourself. People will respect you more if you stand up for the truth than be among the multitude that will lead Kenya into the wrong path. I'm not here to preach, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not qualified to preach. But I have to use my little platform to share with you things that as I see it. In summation, what I'm trying to say, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, friends, enemies and comrades, if we understand that the majority of our leaders, from the president, judges, members of the judiciary legislative system, and independent bodies, and of the affluent, the bourgeoisie, if majority of them are involved in occultic, ritualistic, satanist beliefs, why can't we turn and tap into a spiritual nature by praying to the Almighty God to undo what we cannot do as a people? Yes, we have to do our part in this physical realm called earth. Here in Kenya, we can do our part by protesting, advocating for, speaking against corruption, being bold. You can make videos, you can tweet, you can protest, you can sue, you can challenge. But the spiritual part that we miss also has to be addressed. So while they turn to Satan to give them power to rule Kenya the way they are ruling, let us turn to God, Jesus Christ, to give us a leader or evade what seems to be the inevitable, a civil war that's coming in 2027. We have to do our part, but the part that we cannot do, which is the spiritual part, let's leave it to God. But I'm not saying we leave it, just leave. We should strive. We should humble ourselves through prayer and fasting and supplication to God, and turn away from our political sin, tribalism. That's not the only sin that I'm saying. We should turn away from sins in general, any kind of sin. But I'm just saying we have to ask God a higher power than their power, while we do our part. Because the signs are not good, people. The signs are not promising. You can see what's happening every day in Kenya. It's not promising. Anyway, with that, ladies and gentlemen, it's been 37 minutes. I've given you all those scriptures. You can refer to them. And I've given you those names. You can watch those testimonies at your own time. And hopefully you find redemption or a message that will touch you. This might not be a message for everyone, but at least maybe one person needed it. Maybe one person will get inspired. Maybe one person. Remember, it took Daniel. Daniel was by himself. One person who prayed for 21 days. And it saved the history. It saved Israel, the Jews. And I'm not talking about, the Netanyahus and whatever. That's not who I'm talking about. But what I'm saying is one person who truly dedicated, who found favor with God, prayed for a nation, and an angel answered his prayers. God, that is, through the angel. Okay? So that's what I'm saying, ladies and gentlemen. We might not all be people who have found favor with God, but you never know. Maybe this is a message to one person who's listening to this, who might be moved by the Spirit to pray so that we can find redemption, because we are not in a good place, Kenyans. Anyway, I'll stop here, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, friends, enemies, and comrades. Again, if you're going to watch this, please take note of the names that I've given you. the YouTube search engine, type those names and the scriptures, and take a look at those. Listen to these teachings at your own time and see where we're at. Because it does not make sense if you're being ruled by these Freemasons and these occultic figures who tap into spiritual wickedness, while we try to protest in a physical realm, and we wonder why we're getting shot down. We wonder why people are dying here and there mysteriously, and all kind of wickedness is happening. So we as a people, we should also tap into the spiritual realm by tapping into the Holy One, the Creator, to fight against spiritual wickedness. Of course, we have to do our part as individuals and turn away from our sins. I apologize if I offended you by sounding all preachy. I'm sorry, but not sorry, because it is for your own good. Thank you. I hope you subscribe, share, like, comment, and I will talk to you later. Stay blessed, pray, fast, and I will see you later. Thank you. Bye.